Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Gab with Gail. I have Amanda Shannon today. She's amazing. Like I say that about everybody, and they are all amazing because I'm not a podcaster. I'm actually introducing you guys to people that you need to know that aren't out there marketing themselves with the big ego, but they just need to be known and you need to know them. And I met Amanda, I want to say 2012, maybe. Somewhere around there when I was working with the Lightbox. And recently we connected again because we were working with the energies of the egg. And I was talking about breath work, and people need to do breath work. And if they have viruses and parasites harboring in their body, they're not going to be able to do good energy work on people, but also to receive energy work properly. So that spiraled into hours and hours of conversations. And I was like, I need to interview you. We need to talk to the audience and share what you're doing so that they can get the messages that you're receiving. So that's kind of how we got to where we are today. So welcome, Amanda.
Hi, thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. You're awesome.
Thank you. Well, I listened to your latest, Full Moon Sagittarius. What's the title of it?
June super full moon. No, June Sagittarius super full moon.
It was brilliant. And it's everything that we've been talking about, everything that we've been kind of cultivating, that we need to live in our truth. We need to have more self-love. We need to realize that the way things were done before is not the way that they need to be done in the future. I'm breaking new ground. You're breaking new ground. And we're still seeing some old egos coming through, spiritual healers who are, out there, but there's so much ego involved that their message really isn't pure and of integrity anymore. So that's what we've been talking about, and how we're just trudging this new ground. So tell us more about like what you're doing, how you get your information, and just share.
Awesome. I will. So let's see. I've always had an energetic sense my whole life. So when I was young, I would see energies, and then I would start to hear people who have crossed over that would talk to me and come and talk to me, people that needed help, like that had crossed over. So being able to connect to energy has always been there. I've always seen colors. And I've always kind of seen different timelines, different things, not really. So I've seen different timelines that have come together. Some of them do happen, some of them don't. And so that happened when I was younger. And as I got older, I kind of put that away because I realized not everybody is seeing the same things or hearing the same things I'm seeing. And so I started focusing on more of my intuition where I could help people, right? So being able to talk to people and really having a deep listening skill so that I can see how to best serve them, how to help them with whatever I was doing. At one point I was doing real estate, and it was awesome because I always knew what the person was looking for. So you can use your intuition in a lot of different ways. And then my daughter was diagnosed with autism when she was 2.5, which really is what led me to the journey of meeting you in Colorado, which I was very grateful for. So I learned that not everybody was willing to step outside of the box when you receive a diagnosis, something like autism. And I was actually told by the doctor, she has autism, and you can do whatever you can do. You can do behavioral therapy services. Nothing else works, so don't even bother trying it. And then when she gets to a place where you can't manage her behaviors anymore, you can have her institutionalized. And so it really, I'm sure you hear this all the time too. It takes something in your own life to really motivate you to want to change, not only your life, things happening in your world, but everything else around you. It gave me the strength to really dive into that. So that's when I left real estate, my brokerage, and I really went into alternative medicine, alternative healing, energy work. I went back to all of the things that I used to work with, or that I worked with in my 20s, when I was trying to understand energy and all the information that would flood through me and the energy that would move through me. So I became a Reiki master. We've talked about this many times, all the different modalities that you try to understand and integrate so that you can find a way of expressing yourself and the energy in a more impactful way. So it kind of like pulled me back in the direction of using it for healing. And then so I had a wellness center, which and that was wonderful for about 7 years. I worked with biomedical wellness and created a lot of programs. And then since moving back to Florida, the last 4 or 5 years, I've really taken a different turn in diving into energy, really, because in the bottom, the base of everything has to do with energy. Energy and frequency is the beginning and the end. And if you don't understand frequency, if you don't understand energy, then everything else is kind of haphazard, and you're not going to get the results you want unless you have the intention, the focus, and the understanding that everything you do, think, feel is reproduced around you over and over and over again in everything that you do. And if you're somebody who's working with other people and you are not at least aware or conscious of your own energy, then what you experience, you'll draw in through the people around you, but also through your clients. And then you're teaching them to cope with their energy the same way that you do. So it really perpetuates a lot of the same type of messages that we'll hear, the same type of leaders, thought leaders that are out there in the world right now, healers, motivational speakers, whatever you want to call it, even people creating devices, especially that are on the energetic front, because they're really embedding their thought into whatever it is that they're working on. If you don't stay pure like you do, Gail, because you're so amazing at that, you have a wonderful intention and integrity and honesty. I mean, that is if anybody were to ask me to describe you, I would say integrity, honesty, sometimes brutal honesty, and forthright. And you always stand in your truth. You always know where you are when you are speaking with you, and about if anyone asks questions. I've heard you talk to hundreds of people. So point being, outside of that, outside of your best effort and your highest intention, if you're not in that space, then everything else is not going to give you the results that you're looking for, whether it be your own personal healing, whether it be your own business, whether it be something that you're creating or trying to bring into form and manifesting it. It doesn't matter. It will never give you the results you want unless you're in your highest integrity first.
Yeah. And thank you for those kind words. I have such a hard time accepting that kind of stuff, but thank you so much. And I'm just seeing so many people be out of integrity. And the reason why I gravitate to you is because you will tell people, take what you need and leave the rest. Exactly. And you're just still planting seeds, but you're so loving about it, and you're so humble about it. And you're the type of person that needs to be out there and, in the circles that I'll just go ahead and, the Greg Bradens, you're a Greg Braden, you're a Joe Dispenza, you're brilliant. And so I wanted to interview you, but I'm seeing people, creating these devices. And I got some emails today and they said, hey, do you know about this device? And I said, yeah, and it's not being used properly. And I don't want people saying, oh, it doesn't work when you're not using it properly. Be responsible. If you're going to be an influencer, be responsible with the information you're communicating. And then another guy chimed in and said, I went to a gong bath and the person doing the gong had just communicated that she had a bad day. And he left there angry. And how irresponsible was it for her to continue to do that without clearing herself, without being neutral? And I know that's how you pride yourself. And he said it was a real eye opener, but people are starting to open their eyes to this right now.
I think there's a lot going on with everything you just said, and there's so many different ways to go with that. I always ask my first time clients, give me 3 topics so that I can keep everything kind of narrowed in, because you know me, I'll go all over the place. The first thing I would like to say about what you just said is that I feel everybody has the gift of understanding energy and understanding their place within the world, and how they want to participate in their ascension process, or how they want to become a better person. It doesn't even have to be ascension. You can take it from one level to a higher level and anywhere in between. Because the beauty of being a soul in this physical form is that we are meant to process the information in our own terms, in our own ways, so that it can be integrated through all time and all space and all form, so that we can evolve and that we can step into mastery. So I find that if you try and take that away from someone to make them believe what you believe, number one, it would never work. But number two, you're taking it away their experience. And you're robbing them of their soul's experience of evolving. And I think everybody should be able to do that in their own way. However, which brings me to number 2, when you're somebody who's taking on the responsibility of your brothers and sisters and humanity, and staying in a place of elevating the frequency, I think that it really should be taken seriously as it's kind of like being a mother, right? If you're going to be a mom, you want to make sure you're doing everything the best that you can. You know, you're going to screw up, because we all do. We're human. But you try, and you really put the effort into it. And you set the intention of, I'm going to try. And even at the end of the day, it's horrible, you're going to try again tomorrow. It's the same thing if you're going to be influencing a lot of different people with anything. You can even say politicians or school teachers or gong bath providers. Whatever it is, you have to understand your own energy and how everything about you influences everything around you. And, if somebody says they're having a bad day, and they're not taking the necessary steps to separate themselves from their human experience, and then stepping into a space where they can be a channel of source light energy, then they're not connecting into the highest source energy that is available. And why would you want to take that on yourself? I wouldn't. I'm very, how I am. I'm extremely picky about anything and everything, especially energetically, like people that I work with, or I allow people to work on my body or my energetic bodies. I've had one person forever that has worked on my energy, and I've never even met him. I know I only, but he's wonderful, and I trust him completely. And then you are the other person that I would actually go into the egg, and the egg was an amazing experience. And I'm so excited about what that's going to do for the world. But again, it's about, your center leaders and all the people that are taking on that responsibility. I feel it's an added responsibility, but obviously they care about humanity, or they wouldn't be doing it.
And
just stepping up the energy levels.
Yeah, that's what I tell people. Even my center owners, I'm like, you have to level up, because your energy can affect the egg performance by maybe 50%. We don't know, because there's no test. There's no device that's going to test the energy of that. But it's about me being a mentor, being a teacher, being the leader of this company. And I call it a company, but it doesn't feel like a company, to make sure that they're leveling up and, deep diving into the energies of the egg, and making sure the music is perfect, and making sure that everything is doing no harm, and then everybody's going to have a great experience, but it's going to be different. Like we were talking before the call, you could go there with an ailment that doesn't get cured, and somebody else gets cured of that ailment. Maybe your lesson is not learned yet of you having that ailment, what you were saying. And so that's just beautifully said by you. So it's your own experience. And I tell people, don't have any expectations, go in there with an open mind. But if you're working with a healer, I had a shaman come to me one day and she said, I canceled all of my clients for the day because I am having a bad day. And I said, thank you. Thank you for being responsible. Because
Absolutely.
I was like, and I got her in, I squeezed her in, and this was when I still owned the center. I squeezed her in because I said, you know what, I will do whatever I can because you were being responsible with your energy being crappy. You didn't pass it along to someone else. And then I've had people come to me and say, so-and-so's going through a divorce and, and I did my acupuncture with this person. And I'm like, seriously, I know you have to make a living, but you're being irresponsible when you're working on people and you're in an angered state or a sad state and you don't know how to clear yourself. So being the eggs consistent and repeatable, I'm like, you don't want me working on you most of the time because I'm not always neutral. So I'm like, consistent and repeatable.
Exactly. Well, one of the things, so I have a lot of courses that are about self-mastery and understanding energy. One of them is called Daily Devotion. And it's so important to me because you have to understand, number one, what energy is moving through you that you're working with when you're working with other people. And you have to be able to connect into the same highest source energy, the source energy. And if you're not tapping into that, then don't go there, because then you're doing something that's completely, you don't even know what you're going to be, channeling or what you're going to be tapping into. And you really have to be really conscious of that. And I think that if you have a daily understanding and you have an energetic flow that you tap into every day, like for you, I know that you use your egg every day. And for you, if it didn't feel that way, then, or whatever energy that you use to tap into, if it didn't feel the same or consistent, then something is off, right? And so it's about being responsible and understanding when your energy is off and how to shift it like that. If you're having a bad day, you need to make sure that you're tapped into source, because if you're having a bad day, it means that the innate inside of you is trying to push off something that isn't of the highest light, right? Whether it be information or something directed at you. So it means that you need to plug back into the highest source energy and push it through you. And then it'll clear all of that out immediately. And it goes pretty quick too, once you know what you're doing.
Oh, absolutely. It's almost like a muscle. And so, no, I don't use the egg every day because it would be too much. I let my body integrate the session. So I do it once a week. So I want to say that before somebody says, oh, I can do the egg every day.
Right. Okay.
So I don't even do it every day because there's an egg field and a human field and they play nicely together, but then you got to let that integrate.
Absolutely.
So no, definitely. Exactly what you're saying. And it's so hard because I'll go out in nature and I have to clear, and I never have a bad day. There's bad moments in the day. And then I go check myself at the door, check my ego, check my energy, what happened? Was it, an energetic attachment, not to go airy fairy on people, but there are these things. My niece called me yesterday and she said, Aunt Gail, sometimes when I am with somebody and I'm done, I'm so tired. But when I talk to you, I'm so energized. So I explained the energy vampires to her. Made total sense to her, but she never understood it before. Why would she be with somebody that would completely drain her and then somebody who can energize her? So right. She's 15. Discernment
is something that is going to be coming up a lot in the years ahead, because we have to understand how people's energy places. Most people could probably say they've walked into a room and they've like, whoa, I don't know what's going on in here, but it doesn't feel good to me. And it doesn't have to be, you can get really airy fairy with it, but in sometimes, or somebody will come at you and ask you, like a server, or you are at a restaurant and somebody will come up to you and they just really, you can tell they don't even want to talk to you. They won't look at you. They're very abrupt. And it doesn't feel good, because I think most people want to be, loving towards each other, or at least respectful. And when it's not an exchange like that, you immediately feel the shifting and the hard edges, right? So I think being able to understand it, being aware of it, is the first step.
Yeah, I bought this book probably 10, 15 years ago called the Mystic Cookbook. Because I was like, cool, some really awesome recipes, right? That I'll learn about, because I feel very alchemical, and it wasn't about that at all. It was about how you could eat someone's food who had been angry and you got their anger. And I'm like, wait, what? So at that time, I couldn't even grasp the concept of you eating food that was prepared by somebody who was angry and you left the restaurant angry. So for a long time, I would really feel into the cook, or kind of walk past the kitchen and see who was cooking. I don't want their crappy energy in my food.
That's so funny, because I did the same thing for a long period of time. I even just didn't even eat out anywhere, because, how do you know if you can't get in the kitchen and look in what's going on? That's funny. And I think that's why people pray over their food, really, because then you shift the energy of your food back to its, I always say to my food, thank you for nourishing me, and please bring in the highest nutrient and, proteins and whatever I need in my body, allow it to be uptaken easily. So you can change the energy of it too. But that's funny, because I had the same thing happen with me.
Yeah, I saw, I was leaving a grocery store one day and I was headed home, and I saw somebody must have put a watermelon maybe on their hood and forgot about it and rolled off. And I literally almost cried weird. And, because I'm like, that watermelon put so much energy into growing to nourish somebody. And there it was laying in the street, just cracked open. I mean, it really broke my heart. And I'm thinking, Gail, you're getting a little too sensitive here, but everything's energy. And I say to my apple, please nourish me the way that I need to be nourished. And I was just outside talking to my trees and giving them some energetic shade, because I realized they're not getting any shade. And I feel like that's not who I thought I would become when I was younger, but it's everything is so heartfelt now.
Well, you're very empathic. And I think that one thing I will say is that, Dr. Emoto, who did a lot of studies with water, and how water can change shape based on the environment and the words that are projected at it or around it. And then there was another study that was done with plants. And if you were intending, you didn't even have to say it out loud, but if you were intending with some scissors that you were going to go trim this plant, the plant, there had electrodes on it, would immediately go into shock, because it already knew what your intention was. So I think those are great examples of how we're becoming more aware of our energy, and how it is always at play around us. It can be like a symphony almost, if you're able to stop and check in with yourself, and do some heart focused breathing, and really just get grounded in your surroundings. And it can change the way that your days flow, because the energy of the world, the energy of the earth and the plants, they aren't ever out of balance unless something makes them out of balance. But they all want to uplift us and ground us and support us and nurture us. And so you can use the energy of that to be able to change your day, if you will.
Yeah.
And
well, I planted 15 trees, and my neighbors were saying, we live in sand. It's all sand. It's like we have a beach. And my neighbors were saying, these are the type of trees that don't do well here. These do well here. And there's a lady, her name's Cynthia, and she really seems to be really good with the trees around here. So I called her up She comes over to my house and she's looking at the tree and she says, it doesn't want these suckers at the bottom. You need to trim them. And I'm like, you talk to the trees, don't you? And she handed me her business card and it said, Cynthia so-and-so, tree talker. And I'm like, I love her already. So she said, this tree has bugs, but she said this tree came already damaged, you know, when it was planted. It's been planted properly with the right nutrients in the soil. But she said, when a tree is sick, it gives off a vibration that attracts bugs. When a tree is healthy, it gives off a vibration that the bugs don't get attracted to it. So here's my little tiny brain saying, this is what humans do. When we have the low vibration, we're attracting disease and illness. But when our vibration is higher and healthier, we don't.
That's absolutely true. Because we create our reality based on our thoughts and feelings. And that's the important reason for keeping your vibration high, because then it doesn't allow you to bring in and manifest your reality through the law of attraction with whatever it is that you're thinking, especially if you're somebody who thinks the same kind of reoccurring thoughts over and over and over. And then you're really putting it out there. I mean, I've always said that a physical condition or challenge, that's the last stop. It starts in the spiritual body, and then it's the mental body, and then the emotional body. And then if you haven't been able to deal with the trauma or the belief systems or whatever it is, then it starts manifesting physically, because then we will pay attention to it.
It's your body sending you messages. Our body talks to us all the time. And that's what I just wrote like a little excerpt for the children's book that we have coming out, which I don't think I've said it to anybody before, but we do have a children's book coming out, Little Dragon and the Giant Egg. And I wrote the excerpt and I realized when I was writing the bit about the egg and me, and then Holly, my horse, has a little appearance in the book. She's in the dream of the dragon. It's so cute. But I realized that I said, when I found sound and light in sound and light therapies, and that cellularly released some trauma from my childhood, that's when the physical things started going away. So at a root cause, the cells were holding on to that trauma, creating my thyroid issues, my cystic acne, my hair falling out, my liver issues, you know, different things physically. But as soon as I started to release the trauma from childhood at a cellular level, I started to see the physical things go away.
Yep. I see it over and over again with clients. After a session, their face will look different, and then it'll shift the way that they move through life. We're really not meant to hold on to a lot of these things that we do for a lifetime. It's meant to show up so that we can address it, put it behind us, and then know that we're supported. And then we elevate our energy, and you start attracting to you different things. But it's kind of backwards right now. But so that's the thing that I really feel like people are missing the point on everything that's happening today in our world with all the uncertainty and craziness, and I could go on and on about that. But I feel like if we look at it as a gift, because to me, even being in when we were in this lockdown experience, I feel like it really gave everyone the opportunity to get comfortable in their energy field, to understand the interplay between energies of what they already had going on in their life with their family, or if they didn't have family, their pets or their house or the land they're on, whatever it is. And understand the way and the means in which the body heals, because the body is very much about emotion. You know, it's our thoughts that create the emotion, and then the emotion creates our reality. So many people were able to understand, being, you know, when they're in their own home, that it almost seemed like there was nothing else going on in the world but what they were experiencing in their face right in front of them. And it's because it shifted to change with whatever it is that there was going on in their own reality, in their own thought process, and in their emotions. So I feel like this time that we've been going through is really about or is, in my opinion. As Gail says, I always say, if it doesn't resound with you, then just, check it at the door and keep on going, because it doesn't matter. Maybe it's not for you right now. Maybe it's for you down the road, or maybe it's just not a part of your journey, but it is part of my truth. And I feel that we're able to then see ourselves differently. And the only way that you can change a belief system is by seeing something different, because it's our mirroring neurons that is what we're hardwired with to create our reality. So when we see something different, then we create a different belief system. And I think that it's a gift that we can understand, the world is much smaller. We can see that everybody is going through similar situations, and some going through other situations. And in doing that, you can create an intentional practice of sending those people energy. You can send them light. You can send them strength. You can send them legions of angels. You can send them whatever you want. But through the heart, you can do so much energetic interplay and connection and work, or not so much work, but sending love. And I think that it's really important for people to kind of shift the narrative and stay out of fear, and just kind of bring it into your heart space and look at the world differently. Look at the world through your heart, and play in the space in that way, instead of looking at it through your trauma body of fear. And I think that we're creating a new foundation, like a new root chakra, a new way of thinking and feeling. And you're talking about how we experience things, and then if we heal it in our mind or our trauma or something that has occurred with us, then our physical body starts feeling better. And right now I feel like we're working on our root space, which is, letting go of fear, letting go of not feeling, not hoarding your toilet paper, not feeling safe in the world. And I think that if you understand that we have there's a much bigger container for us, which is our spirituality, our connection to source. Even if you were to look at projecting your vision outside of Earth, even into the universe, there's so much to draw upon out there that we can see that there's more for us than we're experiencing. It's looking outside of our own belief, and we create a different foundation that's going to create a lot of healing in the world.
I think that's what always has attracted me to you, is that you are educating people to take responsibility for their own health, to empower people. And I think, that's what COVID, I was hoping was going to do, because so many people would go to the doctor and say, what's wrong with me? You know what's wrong with you. You know your body better than your doctor. And then when the doctors were closed, and the Reiki people were closed, and the massage was closed, and the acupuncturists were closed, and everybody was closed, then I thought people were going to go inward. But it feels like when everything opened up, they're back to, not everybody, but they're back to, what's wrong with me? Tell me what's wrong with me. And maybe it wasn't long enough for them to create a new belief system, create new habits. But that's where I wanted to introduce my audience to you. So you have programs to help people to learn how to take responsibility for their own health, empowering people with information so they know how to listen to themselves, and they know and feel and trust themselves. So tell us how we can find out more about your programs and your website and all that good stuff.
Awesome. So I have, my website is Level Up, but the E's are threes. So 33 is mastery, right? So levelup.com, but with threes. And it's about achieving your own self-mastery, because as you and I have talked about many times, I don't feel that there isn't anything that I do that anybody else can't do. It's a matter of muscle memory, right? So it's something that I exercise every day, my extrasensory abilities. I'm clairsentient, so I understand, or I integrate energy differently because I've trained myself to do that. And everybody can do that. I really feel that there are two different kind of worlds emerging, two different thought processes emerging. One of them being AI and technology and someone and doing it for me and integrating hardware into your world to be able to get the answers that you need. And then I believe, as I know you do, that that we have our own inner technology. And if we build upon our own inner technology and use some of the technology we have now to be able to expand our inner awareness and our discernment over what we each need individually, because there's no two people the same. Everybody needs something different. No two people will ever have the same experience in any condition, even if it's a physical. If you had open heart surgery, you're not going to have the exact same experience as somebody who had the same surgery 2 hours before. It won't ever be that way. And same thing with energetic kind of modalities. It's always what your body needs. It's led by your higher self, your innate, your inner knowing. And nothing is ever going to occur unless it is directed by you. So when you go to a healer or looking for energetic work, it's going to give you what you need. So when I started understanding that more fully, when I had my center and I would watch people come in with chronic illness and they would get better, but then they would get sick again because they didn't address the fact that it's because childhood trauma, right? Or it's from whatever it was. Once we release the emotional part, then the illness went away, just like you were talking about before. So I kind of broke it down, a program, into 3 different steps. The first one is FLY, which is forgive and love yourself. And because everything starts with our heart, everything starts with who we are. We come into this world in our body by ourselves, and we leave this world in our body by ourselves. And then actually we leave our body. But you have to understand what you need, what your body is telling you, and what your behaviors and the things that you do and the relationships that you seek out and the work that you experience. What it's kind of like, you have to be the detective with your own environment. What am I really trying to tell myself? And you can really come together with understanding what you need and what your belief systems are creating in reality. So when you forgive yourself, you're setting yourself free from all of the self-imposed prisoning that we do for ourselves, putting ourselves in prison. So that's the first thing, just because I find it so important. It addresses how we learned everything in our lives that we kind of create with now, and how to change those belief systems or ways of dealing with that. And then the second one is daily devotion. And again, that's about tapping into source energy and being a very clear channel. If I were to say anything about what I do, the integrity that I use behind everything I do, it doesn't matter what it is. It can be me having an exchange at the grocery store. It could be me working with a healing client, or counseling, or teaching, or embedding frequency into the products that I create. It doesn't matter. I have to make sure that I'm in the highest integrity. And with that, it means I have to be clued in to how it's running through my body, what my thought process is behind it. Am I completely detached? Is my ego stepped aside? Am I the hollow bone? Am I allowing the energy to flow through me? You'll never hear me say I healed someone. I don't heal anybody. I am an energetic vessel, just like everybody else on this planet is. I allow, and I'm conscious of the energy that moves through me, and what I allow it, where and how I allow it to experience my reality and interplay within people around me, people, places, things. So it's really important to establish that relationship with yourself and your own energetic fingerprint. And you do that by creating a daily devotional practice. And then the last thing is body care to get you there. And that is because ascension, or moving into a higher vibrational state, is very much a physical process. A lot of healers and people, readers in the past, like in 2010 and 2011, 12, thought that it was all about how far out of your body can you get, right? Out there in the ethers, floating around. But you can't change anything if you're not grounded in your body. And why would you want to be grounded in a body that feels like crap? Why would you want to feel sick? And if your cells are carrying toxins, they're not going to vibrate to the fastest ability that they can, and they're not going to absorb more light so they can vibrate faster, which means you're going to be stagnant. And then the whole entire body vibration isn't going to elevate. And then you're not going to attract those things to you that elevate at the same resonant frequency, which are all the good things that we're always all trying to experience. So it starts in the body. And that's what's so brilliant about the egg, actually, is that the egg works on all of these levels. I mean, I've created it in my own form with working with people. But the egg does that on its own, and it does it in its own encapsulated environment. And it's so brilliant, but it's the same thing. You have to work on all the fields. You can't address one thing. You have to address your emotions, your mental process, and your physical body, and your spiritual self, and your spiritual body, and integrate all of those together to be able to move into a higher state of being and living to a potential that we don't even understand yet. I don't feel that we have a clue as a whole of what we're actually capable of. We are capable, humans in our physical form are capable of experiencing and being so much more than we've ever been led to believe. And my mission in life is to continue to stand in the light, to stand in as much truth and integrity as I am able to hold, to continue to release that density so I can absorb more light, and to see other people to step into a new suit, a new light suit, if you will, dropping all of their density and also living to their fullest potential, because we'll live longer, be happier, and create more sustainable and happy environments. And I think that it's going to change everything. It's going to up-level the whole galaxy and the universe if we start with our own. And all you have to do is start with yourself. And then it bubbles into everything.
Well, that was a lot of information, and I am just so honored to know you. I'm so grateful that you share your light wherever you go. And you made a good point. Even when you go to the grocery store, you treat people with integrity. We're all one. No one's better than anybody else. And there are no limitations. We can do whatever our heart desires. And
That's
you
true.
have to believe that. And we're both living proof. We have done so much in our short lifetime that, I always tell people, this little girl from Detroit can do it, anybody can do it. And so I tell people that all the time, because I'm not special. We all have the gifts. We all have the ability to do whatever our passion is, whatever our purpose is. You just gotta want it bad enough. And you gotta want that quality of life and live in joy.
Exactly. And you have to address your habits. You have to address what you're putting out there, because if you just take ownership of what you're doing and be honest with yourself, if you don't want to be honest with anyone else, at the end of the day, when it's just you looking in the mirror, you have to be honest with yourself. And if you just start there, and then you can shift anything you want.
Yeah. Well, we will put your email and your website in the show notes and a link. And I'm just so happy that you were giving me your time today. Thank you so much. I love you so much.
I love you too.
I hope to see you again soon. It's been a while since we've seen each other, but maybe soon.